Yeah.
So you joined, sir?
Yes, sir. I have joined, but I am not able to open the link on my laptop because initially I connected with laptop, but now that link is not so I cannot be reached.
Okay. The same link is being used by all.
Okay, yeah. I also connected it.
Yeah, through mobile you have connected now.
Yeah.
But is it comfortable to do the session through mobile?
Actually, I wanted to demonstrate something. Just give me
Yeah.
one more minute.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. No issue.
Restart my screen.
Yes, sir. No
Yeah,
issue.
please. You just give me a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I just would like to interact with all the participants. So we are almost half the way with today, and we have 2 more days to go. So at this juncture, may I like to hear from all the participants that you know the schedule, and do you like to have any other special topics of your interest that would need to be covered so that we can plan?
So can we learn a very basic language of the computer?
Sir, instead of any language, can we have how to implement programming in primary or middle school? How we can implement that thing?
Means primary programming means using the C language. Do you like to, or in general?
In general, sir, I'm not here for language specific. I'm just talking about
Just
only the
means
programming. Yeah,
means in how to develop the logic.
yeah. How to develop the logic?
Logic development, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Actually,
Yes,
my name
madam.
is like this program we got mainly for artificial intelligence. So in this, we are not covered as natural language process. Like NLP is not there in the program right now.
Yes, ma'am. Because in the material given by the AICT, there was nowhere mentioned about NLP specifically. Do you
Okay.
have NLP been covered at the school level?
Yeah, like this ninth standard book is having all those things that we have to tell them. Like we have a activity based on that, like Google
NLP.
Kindle Writer, like that. It is there, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, then might be I missed it out. Then I do one thing, ma'am. Despite this schedule, as
Mm.
already promised,
Yeah.
I would like to interact with all of you, at least even in the weekends, somewhere at some time. Is that okay? So that we can cover?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
No problem. We'll join.
Sure, thank you. Then, leaving the 7th, I definitely will. I'll try to conduct a meeting on 14th. Then, by the time I look at the NLP content, and I would like to have a session on NLP too, post FDP.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Thank you. And hands-on, uh, the practical aspect of AI.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sir, just because we are learning more of the things based on theory. If one session where we can see how AI can be like how we can work on AI.
Pardon, ma'am, can you repeat it?
So, like we are learning theory, Python, and any domain of AI, how we can do practically.
Yeah. In the last two sessions, that is neural networks, I will just give some sort of hands-on session only, or I can say like I will demonstrate a certain basics of a neural network part through Python.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
How to set up AI lab. Okay. There is no specific like if you have Python in your systems, that is sufficient.
Sir,
Ma'am.
good afternoon. Sir,
Good
good
afternoon,
afternoon.
ma'am.
I'm in, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, we are starting from 8th standard as per CBSE rule. So we have started from 8th standard. So just inquiry how to set up a lab, sir. Like how we can give the students a like hands-on experience. How can we give them?
Okay. Okay, that
Is
also
there
I
any
will cover
particular
it.
software or anything?
No, no, no. Based on the syllabus, you have only through Python, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So through
Actually, Python
Python,
it's for ninth, I think, from ninth onwards.
okay.
Before that, I think there'll be.
Do you have that lab experiment list and all?
Yes, sir.
No, sir, not
Actually,
yet.
like the AI project we have to do, sir, in the Python writing practicals, Python programming and practicals.
Ma'am, can you share that to content to me through mail?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
So there I look at it and then we plan it on Saturdays.
Yes,
For
sir.
some
Yes.
long session, we plan it on Saturday so that one sitting we try to cover as much as possible.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
ma'am.
can I get any informations on web hosting, like, because actually we teach HTML also to students with some sort of scripting.
Ma'am, your
So
voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking. Can you put it in chat box?
yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
Sir, Namaste, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, as per CBSE, AI has been introduced. So they have given the handbook also. Sir, yesterday had discussed about how to go about it, how to find the problem and solution. Some deep more session, one extra session from him, it would be great. I mean, for
From Sharma sir.
yes, from Sharma sir. Because
Okay.
actually, I think he felt looking into the handbook of AI. Uh, when we go to the class, now frankly speaking, it is very much new to us also. We know the theory. When it comes to the practical aspect, how to go about it.
Yeah.
Some more detailing. That's it.
Yes, ma'am. I request sir to. He'll be very much happy to interact with you all, and he was in fact inquiring with me in the today morning also. So I'll inform him and I'll ask him to handle one more session without any problem. He can do that.
Thing is, yesterday he had touched the handbook. I mean, it was just
Yes.
touching. We want some more, what to say.
Yes, actually, he planned for a more session, more time, but the previous session took more time to wind up. And then he thought that being a natural learner cannot take more input on a single day, and that too yesterday we had flooded with the 4 sessions. So keeping that in mind, he has winded up by 5 o'clock so that you all people also can get relaxed. But I'll definitely put a word, and if possible, that I'll arrange it on Friday evening itself after the test.
Sure, sir. It would be great, sir.
The question is, please arrange guidance on how to integrate AI, okay, in teaching of English language with concrete examples and the resources. Okay. Can you please share about the web hosting, as our students develop good websites and wish to host it for free, any free websites where we can host? Yes, ma'am. You can, Google Groups is one thing that anyone can do the hosting very easily. I'll type here Google Groups. Yeah, Pooja Jain ma'am has told that she will share the PPT by today evening, so that I will share it to all of you. Handbook, I think I sent it yesterday, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir, your handbook has come. Yes, sir, it has come.
Yeah.
A very good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon. First of all, I would like to express my I'm sorry that I got delayed
No issue, sir. No issue.
because
And yours is the only session now, so you can free to cover the content what all you have thought of.
okay. Just a moment.
Yeah, I made you presenter as well as co-host.
Yeah, yeah. So very good evening, one and all here. And I was listening to some of the queries that you people are having. So we can continue from that point of discussion. I think there is some echo coming. I think some of you are having mic on. Okay, so today we'll be discussing because I was listening to the queries and the people were asking that is there anything that we can practically do, how we can teach the programming to the students, what are the different tools, how we can set up the labs, what is artificial intelligence, how it can play a role in school curriculum as per new education policies there, how we can conform. So yeah, so the artificial intelligence is the buzzword, and it is something that will rule the roost for next 2 to 3 decades. So we can take some of the questions, like how many of you are the teachers of programming language? How many of you are from computer science background? So if you get an option to raise the hand or something like that, so that I can get an indication. Okay, so I can see a couple of hands here raised. The people who are from computer science background. So I think about 20 to 30% hands I can see raised, and rest of I don't know whether they are able to hear my voice or my message is reaching to them. Okay, so what is artificial intelligence? Anyone, and anyone can please unmute and can let me know that what is artificial intelligence.
What a human can do, we can perform that thing with the machines.
Okay.
Making
So,
the machine think like a human being.
yeah.
Inducing human intelligence to the machine, so it can do work just like a human.
Right.
Not exactly, but it can imitate the human work. So the person in front of the machine can think that it is a intelligent one.
Okay.
Making the machines one which can learn from the past experience.
Okay. All right. So, is there any distinction between the artificial intelligence and programming? Are they the same thing, or they are the different things?
Programming is completely based upon rule approach,
Right.
whereas
It brings automation.
artificial
Programming brings
intelligence
automation.
is based upon the previous experiences it can learn.
Okay.
No, sir, both are interlinked. Yeah, interconnected, I think.
Yeah.
Programming and artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Because in
So,
programming, we have set of rules and same we have set of actions or different kind of rules here also in artificial intelligence.
okay. Right. So, thank you for giving such a nice input to get us started with something. So these artificial intelligence and the programming both are the older concepts, and this term itself, artificial intelligence, was coined in 1956. So John McCarthy, who is said as the father of AI, coined this term in year 1956, and he was the creator of first programming language which was more suitable for AI application. So he created Lisp. So that was the first AI programming language. But earlier, what AI could do, so there were many toy applications that emerged, like it was used for solving, the theorems for mathematical induction, for doing, some small tasks. But when it came to scale up the tasks, so the major problem at that time during 50s and 60s was the machine translation. So United States of America was interested in translating the Russian text, because the Russian technology was very much ahead than the United States. So United States was interested in translating in the machine translation. So he heavily infused the investment for solving this particular problem. And in the field of AI, lots of investment went, but it could not achieve much on the front of machine translation, because some people were talking about that what is NLP, how it can be used. Is still natural language processing and understanding and generation is a challenging task, and we have lots of translators available in the form of Google Translator and others, but still the accuracy is not that much, and still there is a scope of the improvement. So for many decades, the investment uh, keep on directing towards this solution of this particular problem, but it could not do much. Then people thought that AI is just a hype and it cannot do anything. It can be used for creating weak AI applications. So there are two types of applications that we can create using AI, and most of the applications are weak AI applications. So what are the weak AI applications? That they perform well on the toy data set, on the toy problems, but when we want to apply them on the huge real life problems, then they fail to scale up, they fail to generalize. So that is the basic problem with even today the people are trying to solve it. And there are various phases of AI. There is various kind of evolutionary history, that how AI evolved and how it is related to the evolution of the computer. But recently something has happened, and AI has become a buzzword. So in last 1 or 2 decades, it has caught the attention of people, the practitioners, the researchers, and everyone is talking about this. So what it is doing, that the traditional programming, yeah, please. Yes, please. Is there any question? Okay. So there were the keywords that in program we have certain rules, we can define a logic, we can find the steps that how a problem is going to be solved. So suppose if you just want to write a program for finding out the factorial of a given number, so you can solve this particular problem within few steps. You can first get started with the building logic. Even you can depict the logic in the various forms. You can make flowchart. You can write the pseudocode. You can have the representation in the form of steps, and you can even try it run and can predict the output. But still, there are certain tasks for which logic cannot be written, like how the human is able to recognize faces, how the human is able to discriminate among thousands of categories of the objects, how the human is able to identify different sounds, how the human is able to read, how the human is able to learn some skills. So for these type of tasks we cannot write some rules, like if you are asked to write a program which can discriminate that what is a glass and what is a plate. So it will be very difficult because there is no predefined rule exists, and there is a lots of variety in discriminating. Like you want to discriminate in the face of a male or a female, so it will be very difficult to create rules for this side of problem. And that is the magic of AI. And there are various branches of AI. So artificial intelligence is obviously mimicking the faculties of the human brain, the capabilities of the human brain. So human brain is good at doing something what the computers cannot do. So certainly there are certain some tasks that computers can perform well. There are certain tasks that human are still above par at performing those tasks, and pattern recognition is one of them. So when we talk about pattern recognition, there are various problems coming from the different domains. So the pattern recognition may be the discrimination in the images, the different categories of the images. It may be related to the voice. It may be related to some language. It may be related to certain other things where human beings can use the senses and the sensors of the natural body, and can perform better than those. But something is happening continuously. There are approaches which are now there are tasks, like if you talk about the discrimination among different object categories. So object classification is a one task that that AI or the machine learning techniques are able to solve with the accuracy at par with the human accuracy. So deep learning is there. So that is a new concept which is based on artificial neural network. So it is quite similar to the working of the human brain, which has billions of neurons are interconnected, and the information is transmitted, and then the decision making and cognitive dynamics works. So it is quite interesting. And there is nature inspired computing, like what is happening in the nature, how we can develop the algorithms for the optimization and can use them for solving our AI problems. So for the there are different types of algorithms like ant colony optimization and particle swarm and others. So we are trying to mimic some of the capabilities of the human brain. So this is just a kind of introductory. I just want to keep it something which is demonstration oriented. That's something we can do with this. So there was a question that from where we can begin, what the students can learn, which is the easiest language, what type of tools we should have at the school level. So actually, I'm not from the school level. I teach at university, but there are certain things that I find that which have very a very easy curve to learn. And Python programming is one of such programming languages that you can get started your students, and they can easily easily learn anything. Okay, so yeah, let me try to share my screen. Okay, so how many of you have exposure to Python programming and how it is used?
Many of us know.
Yeah, yes. How many are having exposure to the Python programming, or you have taught it, or okay, so there are some people. Okay, so number is quite good. Okay, so something today we are going to learn about how to use Python, how to use various libraries, and if time permits, I will also demonstrate a small module that how the machine learning can be used. And there are lots of things that you can do, and I'll tell you that how you can take this learning forward. So yeah, so if we talk about Python, so what is Python programming, and why it is different from other languages? So first, let's talk about one environment where you can just code. So without the need of installing any software, if you are just having one Gmail ID, so you can practice. Even your students can practice online, and they can do anything what they want related to data analytics, related to machine learning, related to deep learning, and other things. But if they want to develop other applications, then they can install various package manager like Anaconda and on the local system, and they can get started there. So I'm just telling you that how to get started with just one Gmail account on the cloud. So there is a tool called as Google Colab. So Google is providing uh, you know uh, one platform where you can write your Python code. So this is colab.research.google.com, or what you simply can do, you can just open the Google Colab and just type here. Just open the Google and just type Colab. So once you do this, you'll get a link, Google, which is collab.google.com, and you should be logged into your Gmail account. So by default, I'm already logged into my Gmail account, so it is picking it up. But let me switch my account to this one. And yeah, it is Collab. I'll just cancel here, and this is the symbol of Collab with uh, two circles here, and just click here. So I hope that all of you are having a Gmail account, Gmail ID, and you understand that there is a feature called as Drive. So that is a storage space with Gmail. So you get 15 GB of storage space, and you can utilize that storage space for writing your code and for creating whatever you want. Okay, so just click on My Drive, and then there are different folders here. You can create one folder, and so I have already created one folder, CUTN underscore CBSE, and I'll be sharing the link of this particular folder. I'll be sharing it with all of you so that you can download the resources which are available here. And so yeah, let me share this folder so that you can download whatever is available here. And I'll be telling you that from where you can get the reading material and resources, and what are the some of the useful tools that you can use for strengthening your learning as well as your students learning. So okay, so I can get a link for this. Okay, so this is the link for the resources that I'm using, and you can download it and can upload to your drive. So how to access your drive? That is very easy. Just open your Gmail account, and there you'll find one option called as Drive. Go there. So this is the link for the drive. Go there, create any folder, and just upload the files. So if you want to upload any file, so what you can do, you can just right click and can upload the file here, or you can simply drag and drop the files from your system or something like that. So with just mouse, you just drag and drop it here, so file will automatically be uploaded. Or you can use here whether you want to upload entire folder, you want to upload entire files or something like that. Okay, so what we have to do, we have Google Colab platform that can be used for writing the code in Python. It can also be used for writing code in R, but I don't think that that is going to be useful for you. So now let's talk about why Python. And before that, let me tell you that how you can integrate Colab. So this is just a one folder, and what you can do, you can create a Colab file by just right clicking. So just right click here and go to more. Okay, let me just keep it here. Go to more, and here you'll get one option of co-laboratory. So if you do not get it, what you need to do at first time when it will not be integrated with your Gmail, so you'll get here an option connect more apps. So there is an option of connect more apps. Click here. Okay, just type here Collab. So and you'll get it. So it is already installed with your. It is already integrated with your Gmail account and with Drive. Otherwise, you just need to click here on the install option, and it will be integrated with your Gmail account, and you can use it for writing the code in Python. So this is very, very convenient. Even people are using it for really serious tasks like for machine learning and deep learning. So it comes with many libraries of Python pre-installed, and you can create any any Python uh, kind of uh, file. So how you can create new files? So since I thought that you are already having some discussion on Python, so did you have some hands-on practical session in this FTP prior to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you already know that how to get started with Python and what are the basics and
Yes,
how to
sir.
use it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
you
sir.
already know that. Okay, so now instead of telling you, some basics, I'll be directly coming to how to use some of the built-in libraries in Python. So how many of you know that what are the different libraries in Python, how to use Pandas, Numpy, Matplotlib, sklearn?
They have just like Pooja ma'am has just introduced how to work on basic things like list and functions, how to write the program. That's all.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that is nice that you are having exposure for that. Otherwise, what? So that was done on this Collab, or that was done offline with Anaconda or some.
Collab.
It was with Collab only.
Okay, it was done. So you are already having all these things. Okay, so you already know. Right. So now let's open. So this is a file that is already available here. And what I can do, I can just open it in the Colab. So it will open this file. Okay. So why Python is special, and why it is becoming so much popular. So the origin of Python was in the mid 90s. It was created in 1995 by an individual called as Guido van Rossum. So it is an old programming language, and but recently, if you just look at the popularity of the Python, then it has exponentially increased in last 1 decade. So in last 10 years, it has got lots of attention. And what is the reason behind that? Why Python has become so much popular? Everyone is talking about Python. It has been included in the curriculum of schools, in the universities. Uh, it is being taught. It is being used everywhere. Whether you talk about the web application development, whether you talk about the IoT applications, whether you talk about big data analytics, whether you talk about machine learning, deep learning for NLP, it is being used everywhere. So, what are the other factors of the popularity of Python? Why Python has become so much popular? Yeah, any inputs, any thoughts to share on this? That why Python is special? Because you have got one session on basics of Python, so you would have got some idea about Python. Why Python?
Python is very easy to learn.
Very easy to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy to learn.
Interactive also. It's very interactive.
It's very interactive. It is not very rigid at syntax. Yeah, sometimes it is rigid, but it is rigid only for the readability. Okay, so some of you might be having some exposure to other programming languages as well. Like since you are from computer science, so I think you would have had some graduation or PG in computer science. So you would have studied C, C++, even Java or some other programming languages. So how Python is different, that if you just want to print simple hello, so you can just do it with, just uh, with just one line of code. You just write here hello and it will give you the output. So if you compare this with C or Java or C++, so these programming languages need to have a basic structure. Like if we talk about C, then first we need to include header files, then we need to create a function, void main, and then we need to have the braces open and closed, and then we need to use printf, and then semicolon, and then it will be compiled, and then it will get executed. But in Python, we are just writing one line and we are getting the things done. So the Python is different from other programming languages in a couple of ways. The first thing is that it is multi-paradigm programming language. The next one is that it is interpreted language. It is made for readability. It is very easy to learn. And it has very rich application programming interface, various libraries, and all. And it can be used for almost any type of applications. So what is the meaning of multi-paradigm programming language? How many categories of programming languages exist? We have procedural languages, we have object-oriented languages, and we have third category of the languages called as functional programming languages. So if we talk about C, C++, so there are certain limitations with them as far as their design is concerned. They have some operations like the pre-increment and the post-increment operations. So they are the problematic operations, and they do not let the result to be to be very fixed or to be very predictable. So if you just have one long expression, then these things, that how they are going to be calculated, evaluated, that depends sometimes that depends on the compiler or even on the platform that you are using. So Python eliminates some of the limitations, and it supports just a kind of predictable expressions, and it supports the philosophy of functional programming. So there, every statement is unambiguous. Every statement is clearly evaluated to some value, and that's why Python does not have these operators like increment and decrement operators. So Python has the concept of procedural. You can create functions, you can create various modules. It has some of the concept of object-oriented programming, like you can create class, you can use inheritance, and you can create objects, and can reuse the code and data. So it has object-oriented concepts, it has procedural concept, as well as it has the concept of functional programming language. It is interpreted. The another distinction which makes Python different from C, C++, and Java, that these programming languages are compiled. So first, your entire source code will be converted into some executable or some intermediate code, and then that code will be executing on the system. But what is Python? You do not get any. You do not have to compile the code. So the code will be first checked for the syntax. If there is some syntactical errors, then definitely you will get a flag from the syntax checker. Otherwise, the lines are can be executed independently. So if it is just one line, so you can keep this piece of code isolated and you can execute it. It should not be bound with very rigid syntax, that it should be kept inside void main, and then void main should follow certain syntax. Like if we talk about Java, so how rigid that syntax is, you need to create a class, you need to import packages, and then you need to write public static void main and string args and system.out.println, and then for just printing one hello world, you are writing 7-8 lines, and that particular syntax is very very kind of cumbersome and very intimidating. So Python is interpreted. You do not have to compile the code. The code automatically converts into executable code. It is made for readability. So the indentation plays a very very vital role. So if you are checking some condition, and if the condition is true, then whatever you are keeping inside this if, that should not be marked with these parentheses, and it should be indented, means some space should be given, at least of one tab, and whatever you are keeping inside here, that will become the part of this particular if block. And most of the Python editors, they come up with this pragmatic indentation, that automatically this indentation will be given, and you can even use else, and can tell that if you are keeping it indented, then it will become the part of if, and this is else. So it is indented, and when you provide indentation, then the program automatically becomes more readable. And yeah, so Python is is very easy, and very less stringent on the syntax. Like for data types, the data types are loosely defined, like with R value, whatever you initialize on the right, based on that value, the data types will be defined. So if you create a variable with name a, and if you define it as text, so it will become a string. If you want to have one integer value, then you can do this. If you want to have one float value, then you can do this like this. And there are certain other data structures which are available at a very primitive level, and there are lots of functions associated with them. Like you can have lists. So lists are defined with this. They are the heterogeneous data types. You can keep the values of the different types. You can have tuples. So tuples are defined with this, with comma separated values, but these are immutable. You can have even the sets. So the sets are defined like this. There is one element 12, 13, 34, 45. And you can even have the dictionaries. So dictionaries are just the key value pairs, that we have certain keys like the names of the cars, C1 and its price, and then C2 and its price. Yeah. And then Boolean. So you can very easily define data types. You are not using any keywords. Like for integers you are using int, or for float you are using float. For lists you'll have to use list. So nowhere such type of keywords are being used, and still you are able to uh, define data types of different types. So this is how it works, and there are thousands or hundreds of functions that you can apply with data. And for list, there are different functions that you can apply. For tuple, there are different functions that you can apply. For strings, there are different functions that you can apply. And if you just want to see that what are their types, so you can easily get it printed with this function type. So here you can see that what is the type of D. Okay, so this is invalid. Okay, if else else, so we can just so this is the built-in class. Class means that it is belonging to a data type which is of type DICT, which is dictionary. And you can perform various operations, like the operations of slicing and indexing are very, very powerful. Suppose you want to get a, a part of this string, then you can easily do this. So if I just want to get the first two characters of this string, then I can print it very easily, A, and I can provide the slicing operation here. So I'm starting from 0. I'll get uh, uh, till index 2, so 0 to 2. So it will include 0 and 1 index. So last index is always excluded, and you'll get a part of this string. So you are getting TE. And if suppose it is very large, like text processing, and you want to get just the alternate characters, so that can be very easily done. And you can just leave it blank. So when it is blank, then by default it will process the entire string. And then you can just tell another argument, that is stat. So it will give you the different characters at a difference of 2. So it will print the 0th character, or the first letter of the string. Then it will move to the so it will skip one position. It means if you just look at the output, then you can, okay, 0. So we need to execute this as well, because we have changed this value, and then this. So this is text processing. So it printed T, it excluded E, and it printed X, it excluded T, and then it is printing the space, and then uh, the P is being excluded and R is being printed. So it is printing it like that. And you can have the negative indexing. You can print it from the back and you can do lots of things, and every variable will have access to different functions. Like this particular variable L is of type it is of type list. So on list you can call various functions, like how to get an idea that what are the different functions that you can call on this list. So just write here L and then dot. So these are the different functions that you are getting. Like you can call this pop function, and you are getting this hello. So pop always returns the last element. So the last element is here because it is working just like a stack. So a stack is first in first out kind of data structure. So you can just because it will take some time if I discuss all the things here. Okay, so now we'll be focused on that how to use the packages, and how to do some sort of visualization, and even how to use machine learning, what basically machine learning is. So we'll be discussing that stuff. But before that, what are the different popular packages in Python? So let me give you a kind of overview for that, and it depends on the type of problem that you are solving. Because someone was asking that we want to have some idea about NLP, natural language processing. So for natural language processing, there are different libraries available. There are different set of functions. Like popularly, you can use NLTK, which is Natural Language Toolkit, which comes with hundreds of functions for doing natural language processing. There is Jansim. So this library you can use for natural language processing. If you want to do some sort of data analytics, then there are libraries for data science. If you want to do some machine learning, so there are libraries for machine learning. If you want to do some web application development, that there are frameworks like Flask and Django. You can use it for data analytics. So there are different libraries. So let me just give you an idea that what are the different popular libraries, and for what purpose they can be used. So let's type here most. Okay, so these are just the 15 libraries. It is a blog on dataquest.io, and there are hundreds of packages, hundreds of libraries which are available for doing various stuff, and it depends on that what you are going to implement, what type of problem you are going to solve. So if you talk about the data analytics and working on the data, then there are various libraries that you can use. Like if you want to crawl the data from the various resources from the web, and you want to automate that stuff, so there is a Scrapy library that can do that particular stuff. Suppose there is a Twitter API, and you want to get tweets on a particular topic or with a particular hashtag that you want to save as your data, that you want to further analyze. So you can use Scrapy and this beautiful soup library. So it is very much, it is just a kind of data creation library that can be used before applying some natural language processing stuff. So suppose you want to do the sentiment analysis, whether the tweets on the Twitter with a particular hashtag, whether those are carrying the negative sentiment or positive sentiment or the neutral sentiment, or various types of even emotions. So you can first scrape the data, you can fetch the data, you can store it somewhere, and then you can do some sort of analytics on that. You can train a classifier which will learn from the data, and you can segregate, you can even do the segmentation or other types of analytics. So Beautiful Soup and Scrapy are the libraries which are used for web scraping, for fetching data from the web. And then for data processing, we have these very basic and the fundamental libraries, like we have Numpy, which is numerical Python. So it is a library which is used for numerical sort of processing, for scientific computing, and for performing basic and advanced array operations. So with the help of NumPy, you can create ND array, means multi-dimensional array, and then you can perform various functions on that. And then there is SciPy, which is scientific Python. So that is used in the scientific applications. There are various functions related to the scientific calculations, like you can have integration and optimization and other mathematical operations. So you can use it. And Pandas, which is a very very popular library, so that is extensively used when you want to process some data, like you are having some data in the Excel sheet and you want to uh, process that particular data. So you can use Pandas library, and it is very much helpful for doing various stuffs, for data cleaning, for data munging, for finding out the missing values and replacing them. So every library is a different project, and most of these libraries are, the community projects. They were started by some individuals, or even one individual only, and later on they just evolved as a community project. So the people contributed for their enhancement, and every library has its own website and a wonderful set of examples and a wonderful set of tutorials. So if you want to explore anything in detail, you can refer its the dedicated website for each and every library, and you'll get lots of examples there, lots of use cases, and you can enrich your knowledge. So Pandas. And then nowadays there is a buzzword under this AI realm, and that is machine learning. So machine learning is something that you can, instead of finding instead of working on certain rules, you are having some data and you are trying to establish rules on that particular data. So the machine learning can be broadly categorized into two main categories, though other subcategories also exist. But at a very primitive level, if we talk about machine learning, that it is supervised and unsupervised learning. So in supervised learning, we are given some features and their levels. So if you just want to classify whether a given given object is having, so there are certain common features, like you just have to discriminate two shapes, whether it is cylinder or uh, it is rectangle. So certain attributes will be given to both of them. Some examples would be given to in that context, and a label will be given that if these are the attributes, then it belongs to this particular class. And when you pass that particular data to your machine learning algorithm, so that learns from the data, and it tries to fit a model, and that model can be used to later on discriminate the unseen data. So that is the basic idea of supervised learning. You can also have the unsupervised learning. So there is clustering, that you are having one image, and you are having one image from the satellite, and you just want to color the parts of the image, whether where is the water bodies or water resources, where is the land, where is the forest, and you want to just color it with different markers. So you can use clustering for that, and there are methods for and the algorithms for clustering. You can use k-means clustering and agglomerative sort of analysis. And yeah, so for machine learning, if you want to apply machine learning, then there is sklearn library, which is the scikit-learn, and it has various useful functions related to machine learning. At the back end of the sklearn, there is scipy and numpy libraries that support its functions. And for deep learning, we have this keras library that is written in Python. So suppose if you want to train a model to classify the data and to classify the different images, so you can do this, a sort of classification with the help of keras. If you want to work with computer vision applications like image and video analytics, then you can use this PyTorch. And TensorFlow is again one deep learning library, and XGBoost is again one deep learning library. So for machine learning and deep learning, we have these libraries: the keras, sklearn, TensorFlow, and XGBoost. And if you want to visualize data, like you want to create some sort of plots, some sort of graphs out of your data, then you can use Matplotlib, you can use Seaborn, you can use Bouquet, and you can use even Plotly and PyDot. So these are some of the libraries. You explore each one of them. Like if you talk about how does Numpy work, so Numpy has its own dedicated website. You just type here Numpy, and you'll get to know everything about this Numpy and this numpy.org. So this is just one project started by someone, and now it has become a complete full-fledged community project. And yeah, so you'll get everything about this, and every package has its own documentation, like how to get started with absolute beginners tutorial. So if they want to learn about it, how they can learn, what numpy can be used. So it comes with the with the packages. Even if you are using conda offline, or you are using uh, this Google Colab, then it automatically comes pre-installed. But if you want to install it separately, you can install it. So here we are using condas, that is a package manager, or you can use pip, that is also a package manager. You can install it with this command. Otherwise it automatically comes pre-installed. So this numpy is just a package, it is just a library. So libraries are the packages. And what are the packages? Packages are just the folders, and they come they have various modules. So what are the modules? Modules are just the Python files having some names, and inside those files we have multiple functions. So here we are importing Python as NP. So this is just an alias, because NumPy is having 5 letters and this NP is just having 2 letters. So it becomes very handy to do this. And then there are various the syntactical things that you need to learn about these functions. This is a array range function, arrange. So what it does, so you just need to specify here the range. Like if it is 6, so it will just create one array uh, of uh, of these 6 numbers. And then you can see the shape of this number. So it is just an array having 6 elements, and from 1 to 6 you have this range of this array element. And this Python array is different from the list, because ultimately when you want to create a list, you pass a Python. You want to create a NumPy array, then you pass a list inside the np.array function. So here one array is being created, but it comes with many functions, many useful functions. Like if you want to apply some of the functions related to use some sort of mathematical calculations, then you can use it. You can use sine, cos, and these trigonometric functions. You can use some statistical functions, like want to find the standard deviation of a given set of numbers. You want to find the variance of a given set of numbers. You want to find the average of given numbers. You want to find the quartiles, or the percentiles from the given numbers. Then you can easily do this, and that is the advantage of using these packages, because it has various built-in functions that you can use, and you can create any dimensional array. So you can create 1D array, you can create 2D array, 2D array just in the form of matrix. So there are rows and columns. So one 2D array is like this, which is having 2 rows and 3 columns. And the basic array can be created like this. So this is just a linear array, which is having 3 elements. And you just want to have zeros. So there is a built-in function zeros. And it will create an array of size 2 and will initialize it with zeros. You have another function ones. So you can initialize one array with this function ones. And you can even create one array, empty array with any 2 random elements. So you can have empty function, you can have arrange function. So indexing, the numbering starts from 0 and it will go till 1 less than whatever value you pass. And you can even have the range and step sort of functions, that you want to start with 2 and you want to go till 9 after a step of 2. So the first element is 2, then it is 4, then it is 6, and then it is something like that. Yeah. And what is the advantage of using this? Because there are lots of functions that can help you to process the data. Like there is a function for sorting, if you want to sort them into ascending or descending order. And if you want to concatenate, then there is a concatenate function. Like this is the array that you have created here. These are the different elements, and now you are sorting it. So you can so these are just the random kind of numbers which are entered into just a mixed format. And when you apply sorting, then these values will be sorted, and by default the sorting is in the from lower value to the higher value. So I'm just giving you a kind of overview that how can be used, because there are so many functions, so many things that you can do. But from here you'll get a kind of idea that how we can use it and what it can do. If we want to use Python, then what it can do. And even if in your syllabus there are other things related to this AI, you can implement all of them with this Python. Even if you are having IoT in your syllabus, so you can code in Python, and you just need to use some library, and that library will be getting values and will be connecting to your sensors. And if you want to do some machine learning, then you can use a library and something. So this is at a very base, at a very ground level, that how you can use these libraries. So what is the benefit of using libraries? That libraries come with various functions. So instead of writing code, because there is an advantage of Python that you have to write very less code, but you need to remember lot many functions, because there are thousands of functions, there are hundreds of packages. So you need to suppose you just want to find out the standard variation of a given set of values. So instead of implementing the logic for finding the standard deviation, that will take around 7-8 lines of code, and loops inside that code if you are implementing that in C++ or Java. But when you are using Python, then there is just one function, but you need to know that which library of Python is having this standard deviation function, what is the name of function, and what is the syntax. You do not need to be bothered about the logic. And that is the main advantage of using Python. You need to remember the package and the function that you want to use. But when you are working on some project, then it is not a big deal. There are lots of resources available, and so you can do lots of things, like you can convert 1D array into 2D array, and that is very easy. So this is just 1D array, and every array comes with one attribute shape. So it is just 1D array, and it is just having the shape in the form of 6 element. And this shape is so this is a column vector. So it is showing that there are 6 rows and elements are stored in this column way. But when you want to change its shape, so there is a reshape function that you can use, and you can change it easily. Suppose you want to change it in the form of there is a 2D array and you want to convert it into a matrix, then you can easily do this. The conversion can be easily done. Okay, so I think one example that was here, like there is this 1D array, and you want to just change the shape to 3 by 2, then you can easily do this, and you can even print that what value will it be. So that is the basic advantage of this. If you just reshape, then the 1D array has been converted into a 2D array, so that can be easily done. And indexing and slicing, so something that we discussed, the indexing and slicing on the string, so you can easily do this, the indexing and the slicing part. And yeah, there are certain other advanced functions, the broadcasting, which is very, very useful. The broadcasting means that you can treat two arrays just like primitive data types. Like there are two numbers, you multiply them, you get some result. In the same way, when you can multiply two arrays, then the multiplication will be element by element. So when you are having, suppose, two matrices of two-dimensional, and you are multiplying them, so you know that how difficult it is to write the code in C and C++. You have to use two nested loops, and uh, in fact three loops, and you need to manage. First you need to check the dimension, and then you can apply that particular concept. But if the same thing you want to do in Python, then that is very easy. And there is a broadcasting operation as well. Suppose there is one scalar or one number, and that you want to multiply it with the entire array, so you can do this very easily. So this is just one array, and you are multiplying it with this number, and you are getting some result back. Okay. And there are other operations. Suppose you want to get the maximum of the array, you want to get the minimum of the array, you want to get the sum of the array, so you can easily get it. So refer this tutorial. So what is the takeaway from here? That there are different libraries for doing various different tasks. Every library has its very lucid and easy to understand documentation with lots of examples. So in your leisure, you can just go through the different functions and the different things that can be done. You are already having access to this Google Colab. You can see it's working. You can even change the data and can see its output. So yeah, that is quite easy. Now let's talk about something which is called visualization. So let me give you an overview that how we can use visualization. So you can create various types of graphs, various types of charts, and you can even visualize your entire data set. So if the data set is with you in the form of Excel, or in the form of CSV, or in the form of some stored in the database, so you can visualize that. You can create various types of graphs, and the library which is used for visualization is Matplotlib. So it is the library, and inside this Matplotlib, because this is a very vast library, uh, more than 70 types of graphs exist in this library, and there are more than 20 sub packages inside this. So we are just going to see about that how the pyplot sub package works, and what facilities does it give us. So here we are importing matplotlib, and inside that there is a sub package pyplot. So that's why dot sign has been used, and we are renaming it as pyplot. So instead of writing this complete matplotlib.pyplot, wherever we'll write plt, so it will refer to this entire thing. And aliasing is used very much, that instead of using longer packages, because we need to call the functions repeatedly, so we just rename them. We just provide them the aliases. So here the PyPlot is being renamed as PLT, Numpy is renamed as NP, and Pandas. So that is another library. So that is used for this renamed as PD, and this. And this Google Colab is very prudent, very meticulous, and it can even give you some of the basic documentation about the various components, like here what this PD is. So this is Pandas. You can just read about it in line. If you have any doubt in understanding any of the things, and it comes very it becomes very handy and very easy to navigate to understand the code. So what we are doing, we are just trying to plot some of the charts, and let's see the final output. So we are going to plot a graph like this, and this particular graph, it looks very trivial, but it contains many pieces of information. So there are two lines that we are drawing here, and these lines are based on on some function. So there is a value of x is having values 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and these are the two y values. So the y equals to we are having some function. So one line is for 2x and another one line is for x square. So when the value of 0, so it is 0 for both the cases, and when it is 1, then for 1 it will be value value 2, because 2x, and for another it will be 1 raised to power 2 1. So we are just plotting these two graphs, and let's understand that how each of these components is working, how we can provide the title like this, how we can provide the legends like this, how we can provide the lines with blue color, how we can provide the lines like this. So there are functions for doing that, and you can refer the in the same way you can refer uh, the the documentation of Matplotlib and PyPlot to get to know in detail about each and every function that is here, because the time is limited. So what we are doing, we are just having two variables, x and y. So there is x, and correspondingly there is value y. So it is just double of the x, and then here we are using a function inside this uh, pie plot, which is figure. So we can create a figure and keep multiple graphs on a single figure. So here the figure of size it is 8 by 5, and DPI. So we can even refer the DPI dots per inch, that what is the resolution that is going to be. So it can be used for that way. So what we are doing, we are just plotting this graph x versus y, and here the graph should be like this. So this b is representing the blue color, and it has to be done like this. The uh, the dashed lines and the caps. So this is for the legend, and this is for the line. So label is 2x, and the another one is x2. So x2, inside x2 we are using this arrange function, and trying to find the different points, and then we are plotting this particular value here. So here it is just the extension that that here you can see that till here there is a one graph, and till here there is another graph. So this is just the continuation of this particular line that we are drawing, and that's why we are going to plot it in that way. So the title is something that we want to on the top of our graph. So you can change it, you can customize it, you can even change the font size and font type, and you can have the labels of the x, like for x level, what is the text that is going to appear, what is the text for the y level that is going to appear. And then you can even have the ticks, that where on which positions you want to keep the ticks on the x and y level. So there are the ticks on these positions. So this is a very simple graph, but there are, certain functions, there are certain things that need to be understood. And you can just see it, and if you want to save it in the form of some image that you want to utilize it later on, like you want to save it with resolution of with dots per inch of 300, that you then you can use this function, save function. And finally, with this particular function, plot.show, you can plt.show, you can draw it. So this is one graph, that how we can use this Matplotlib library. Okay, so apart from the drawing these lines, we can draw the bar charts, and the bar charts look like this. The values can be represented like this, and then there can be a kind of various sort of designs, like how these circles and stripes are appearing. So you can do this sort of customization, but the basic thing that we are using is the bar function. So in bar function, we just need to provide two values, the labels and the values. So labels are A, B, and C. So these are the three labels. A, B, and C, you can keep them something more like that, like there are students, and you just want to uh, just create a bar chart corresponding to the marks of the students in different subjects. So there are names of the subjects, and there are the names of the marks of the students. So you can create it, and you can even export it. You can even save it from here, because it is a complete image. You can save it on your system. And yeah, this is bar chart. And now there is something, that how you can work with some real data set. So this real data set is there. There are certain values, and there is read underscore CSV function, by using which you can read data. So CSV is just a kind of simplified version of Excel. And the values, instead of being tab separated, the values are comma separated. And you can save any Excel file in the form of read in the form of CSV. And the file is available, this particular data set is available on this particular link. And you can even see that what this data set is, and what values is it containing. So these are the different headers inside this. And this is a gas prices data set, that over a period of time, how the gas prices have changed in US dollars. So we are fetching this data set. This is coming inside this gas variable, and we are creating a figure of size 8 by 5. And yeah, then we are using these plot functions. And so whenever we are using plot functions, so this is just a simple lines that we are drawing. So inside gas, there is a column called as year. And there is a column called as USA. So there are gas prices across different countries that this data set is having. So there are the gas year, and the prices in Australia, Canada, France, Japan, Korea. So there are different countries which are having these prices, and we want to visualize this particular data set. So for visualization, we are just plotting these four graphs here. So that is, these are just the lines. And we are having this x ticks, y ticks. So the concept is same, and these are the different lines which are representing the four different countries. And there are years. So it is quite interesting to visualize the data. And there is another data set which is related to the FIFA data set, related to the FIFA World Cup and the performance of the teams. And here we are talking a little about the Pandas library, because this PD is Pandas library, and it has function read underscore CSV. And the file is coming from the net. You can read it from your local directory as well. Instead of providing the entire path, you can download it, and then you can read it. Or even you can read the data from your local drive. and then connect it to your Google Colab. So here this FIFA data set is there, and this FIFA data set is having some details about the matches, just like this guess data set was having the details about the matches. So this is quite complicated data set that you're getting here. So some sort of visualization has been done on this, and here had 5. So it is giving you the starting 5 rows from the data set. So these are the different columns, like there is ID, there is name of the player, the age of the player, the photo is coming from this particular location, the nationality, the flag is also coming from here, and there are different skills, moves. So the details about the different players, and yeah, and then you can use it for creating a kind of predictive model. Suppose if you are having some sort of valuation that how much should be the auctioning price of a particular player, so you can use this data set, and you can, if there is some unknown player having these attributes, so some of the attributes are maybe contributing, like age may be contributing, the score may be contributing, and the performance in various matches should be contributing, and heading accuracy, finishing, crossing. So these are some of the parameters that may be used in creating a kind of predictive model uh, for uh, for AI, for machine learning. So here it is the snapshot of the data set, and then what we can do, we can yeah, here, yeah, so we are creating kind of bar chart again for distribution of players skills in the FIFA 2018. So we are taking the year of 2018. So there are different bins. So the histograms can be created based on the bins, that how many players are falling under a given range, and for X and Y we have skill level and number of players, that how many players are falling under this particular skill level. So the skill level is 40, 50, 60, 70. So this is just a score assigned to them. So just around 5, 7, 8, 10 players are just under this skill level, and mostly they are falling under this skill level of 60 to 70. So you can have a kind of distribution of marks, distribution of the data, and you can use Matplotlib and the PyPlot sublibrary for creating various types of diagrams. And this is just a snapshot. If you just want to get a kind of exhaustive list that what type of diagrams you can create, then you can navigate to the Matplotlib library, and you'll get lots of tutorials that what you can do with the help of Matplotlib. Like there is this examples, so you can have stacked bar, group bar, the broken bar. So here you can see that the type of graphs that you can create is endless, and it comes with various complex examples. So with a very little knowledge of the programming, you can create very complex representation of the graphs, including the 3D, 2D, and for different types of data, there are different types of graphs. So covering each and everything is not possible with this limited period of time. And but something I'm giving you an overview of that how you can get started with. So that's something basic about this Python and the different packages of Python. So if the time is there for next 20 minutes, we can navigate to some introduction about machine learning and deep learning, and how the things can be further taken carry forward. So yes, sir, especially from the organizing team, if they permit, then we can continue.
Sir, it's happy to hear from you. but it's only interest of the participants. So we can ask them and we can decide.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You can continue.
Okay. All right. So, there are many things, and these examples I have kept here in the Matplotlib advanced examples. Like if you want to, take it forward for visualization, then you can use these examples. Okay. So let me go back and see that what simple we can discuss about machine learning or something like that. Okay, so let's talk about some very basic example of machine learning, so that you can get an idea that what machine learning is, how it can be used, and what type of things it can work. So here what we are doing, we have one data set with us, a very simple data set. So let me first show you the data set that we are having. Okay, where is Titanic? Okay, so this is our data set. What this data set is looking like, there are just some numerical values available in this data set. Okay, so this is some data set, some numerical values, and the last one is the some text. So this is an iris data set, and this iris data set is the collection of the dimensions about iris flowers and iris saplings. And there are three varieties of the iris flowers. There is iris setosa, and there is iris versicolor, and then there is iris virginica. So how does iris flower look like? So this is the image of iris flower. So the iris flower has various varieties. There are three popular varieties. So the some people collected some information about the three varieties of iris flowers. They measured four attributes of iris flower. Basically, this particular sapling. The first one is the yeah. So just look at this iris flower. Yeah, the first is the petal length, petal width, and sorry, sepal length, sepal width, and then the petal length and the petal width. So sepal length is the length of the entire, the sapling, and the width is referring to the width of the sapling, that how much width it is having, and then there was petal length and petal width. So these four attributes were taken, and then they assigned a class level. So if the for one sample, the sepal length was 5.1, and height was 5.1, and the width was 3.5, and the petal length was 1.4, and the width was 0.2. So they collected this data set, and what is the objective here? That will create one machine learning model so that we can train our model on some examples, and then we'll be using rest of the examples to assess the accuracy of our system. So this is just a toy example, and through which we can understand most of the concepts of machine learning. So this data set is available on our drive, and if you want to access some data from our drive, then we need to write this 2 lines of code from Collab import drive, and it needs to be mounted to this particular root folder. And you can read and write data to and from your drive. But because of the security reasons, you need to provide permission to the Google Collab so that it can access your drive. So these are just the 2 lines that you need to write, and you need to execute the cell containing those 2 lines, and you'll get one security code, and then just paste that code here, and you'll be authenticated. Okay, so the mounting has been done. Now what we are going to use today, we are going to use sklearn. So sklearn is very popular package for machine learning, which stands for scikit-learn, I just told you. And there are different types of machine learning algorithms for classification. So classification is the supervised learning. So we have SVM classifier, which is support vector machine, and we have neighbors package inside which we have KNN classifier, K neighbors classifier. Inside tree subpackage, we have decision tree classifier. Inside discriminant underscore analysis, we have LDA, linear discriminant analysis. And under naive Bayes, we have Gaussian naive Bayes. So these are the different algorithms for supervised machine learning that we need to import. And sklearn is the package. Inside that package, there are subpackages. And inside those subpackages, we are calling these functions for creating various types of classifiers. So we are just importing the packages, the required packages in step 2. And in step next step, we are importing this Pandas library. So Pandas library is used for data preprocessing. You can load the entire document in a single variable. So that is the capability and beauty of Python. And from sklearn model selection, so we'll be doing the training and testing split of the data set. So our data set currently is having 150 rows, and we'll be keeping some of the samples for training. It means we'll be telling the system that what iris setosa flower is, what its attributes are. So it will see some examples and will try to fit a model on that, based on that learning. So let's execute this piece of code where we are just importing some libraries. And yeah, so next what we are doing, we are just providing names so that we can have easy access of the data sets, because this data set is not having any header. We are just having some values, so it is very difficult to identify that what is the name of the column. But we can exclusively give this through the program, and we have created one list with name n, and sepal length is the first column, sepal width is the second column, and petal length, petal width, and this is the class. Class means category of the flower. And then we are using this pandas function, which is read underscore CSV. So you can read the entire file from your disk, and that particular file will be stored inside this particular variable. So the location has been given like this. So it is inside my drive, and then gguatal underscore cms and iris dot flowers, and you are providing the names of the columns. So once it is done, yeah, you can get the various pieces of information from here, like what are the starting 12 samples from the data set. So these are the 12 samples that you are seeing in the form of one, array. If you want to describe, so describe is very, a powerful function, and describe gives you a kind of statistical snapshot about your data. So it can automatically identify that what are the columns having just numerical values. And since statistical analysis you can perform only on the numerical values. So the last column, which is class, it has deliberately excluded that because that was containing a text. So it did not perform statistical analysis on that particular data set. And here you can see that this sample length is having count of samples 150 150 150 because there are 150 samples. So it is even telling this the mean or the average of this particular column, which happens to be 5.83333 for sample length, and this one for this. It is giving you the standard deviation. It is giving you minimum value. It is even given the percentiles of the data. So what is the meaning of percentiles of the data? Like in competitive exams, GATE, NAT, GATE and CAT, we get the percentile score. So when we talk about 25 percentile, it means that the 25% of the values are lying under this particular value, and 75% of the samples are lying under this value for sample length. So this particular snapshot is very useful. So instead of doing this manual calculation, writing the programs, so these libraries are doing that stuff on your behalf, and you are just having to use this describe function. So describe function gives you these many pieces of information for your data set. Then what you need to do now, you need to perform, you need to prepare your data for the machine learning. So as I told you that machine learning is of two types. We have supervised machine learning, we have unsupervised machine learning. So supervised machine learning is something like that you tell by examples. Suppose you want to make a child learn to distinguish between a pen and a sharpener, or the eraser and the sharpener. So what you'll do, you'll show some samples of the sharpeners. So you'll tell the child that this is the example of eraser, this is the example of eraser, this is the example of eraser, the eraser is also like this is the example of sharpener. You are showing the instances of sharpeners and erasers in different colors, in different sizes, in different shapes. So after seeing some examples, the child develops some sort of understanding that what a sharpener is and what an eraser is. So that is the supervised learning. So in supervised learning, what we tell the system, we give some examples with answers. So we show some attributes that these are the four attributes. The sample length is this, sample width is this, the petal length is this, petal width is this, and this is the class level. And yeah, after seeing the examples, the model tries to learn. And how the model tries to learn, how the model preserves the value, that is decided by the method that we are using. If we are using SVM, then definitely SVM has its own working support vector machine. If we are applying KNN, then KNN has its own working. Okay, now this data set is a pandas frame. Now we are converting it into a Numpy array, because on Numpy array the slicing and these operations are very easy. So we are using the values attribute and we get an array. Okay, now what we are doing, we are just splitting the attributes and the class levels separately. So here this splitting is very basic, and we are working on a list. So the column refers here the all the rows, and this refers that which columns. So we'll take 0, 1, 2 and 3. So starting 4 columns will be kept inside X, and the remaining columns will be kept inside Y. So here you can see that what this split will do. Let's keep it separate and let's see the output of X, that what the X is containing. So X is just containing these numerical values, and every element is just a just one array, and its shape is 150 by 4. There are 150 samples and there are 4 columns. And if you just look at the what Y contains, so while we just containing just 1D array, and these are just the class levels corresponding to all the 150 rows. So we have split the attributes and the class levels separately. Okay, so once it is done, what next we can do? We need to split our data set into training and testing. So we are showing some examples. So the child will learn as we teach in the class. So we solve some examples to make the understanding of the child clear. And once the understanding is done with a sufficient number of examples, then we put the child to the test. So the child needs to take the test. So we need to perform the testing, that how accurately the child has developed the understanding of the concept. So for that purpose, we are splitting our data set, and here we are getting 4 values returned. We are getting 4 values returned, and this train underscore test underscore split function is doing the magic. It is giving us 4 values. So we are having x underscore tr. So for training, we are having some certain attributes. For testing, we are having certain, some part of the data will be used for testing. The class levels corresponding to xtr are kept inside this, and inside ytr, they are going to be kept inside this. And the entire data set is being passed in the form of x and y. And here the test size, it means the 30% of the samples will be using for testing, and 70% of the samples we are going to use for the training. So for testing, out of 150 and 70% of that, so those many samples will be used for training the system, and other samples will be used for testing the system. And the random state is 6, so it is its own significance. Like if you want to keep the results reproducible, it means we if we execute the same steps again, so we'll get the same accuracy. Okay, so how we can perform machine learning training? So what basically the training means? So here the training that we are going to perform will be using one approach called as KNN, K-neighbors classifier. So you can read about it. It is a algorithm for machine learning, for supervised machine learning classification, and we are creating one instance of it, and that is being saved inside this model variable. And model dot fit. So this is one universal function that does the training of the system. So here we are showing that what are the attributes of a flower and what is its corresponding level, and that will be done for 70% of the data. And then we can use this trained model. So inside model, the training would be saved, and then this trained model can be used to predict the values. And this predict function will be used, and inside this predict value, we are just using x underscore t. It means we are just giving some questions. We are just giving the system just the attributes of the iris flowers, and we are asking the model to predict corresponding levels. So now we'll get some results from the system, and this predict value will contain some of the class levels. You can even see that when this is being done, xtr is not defined. Okay, we need to execute this, and then this. So the prediction is done, and you can even see that what is coming inside prediction. So prediction would be having some class levels. So these are the predicted class levels on the 30% of the data. And yeah, and the actual values are stored inside YPT. Sorry, this Y underscore T variable, and these are the predicted values. So we can even see then that how much accurate has that been, because this is just a very simple example. So these are the predicted values. Like for first example, it is Iris setosa, so it is clearly identified Iris setosa, then Virginica Iris setosa, and then Iris setosa Virginica. So for most of the examples, it is predicted well, but there will be some deviations. But what are the deviations? So if you want to predict those deviations, that how much accurate the results are, you can use some performance matrix for identifying the accuracy, for confusion matrix and all. So there is a sub package called as matrix. It is not matrix, it is a matrix which refers to some of the standards or some of the accuracy measures. So it is its pronunciation is same, but it has different sense. So there are three accuracy metrics or measures: the confusion matrix, accuracy score, and the classification report. So we can execute it and we can see that how accurate the model was. So when we tested the model on the unseen data, so it performed 97.77%. And then there are various, technical terms like precision, recall, F-score, support. So these are some of the uh, terms that are used in machine learning to assess the accuracy of the model. And then here at the last, it is the confusion matrix. There were 15 samples of class 1, and all the samples were accurately classified. There were 16 samples of the class 1 and 15 were accurately classified, one was misclassified. And this 14 was, there were 14 samples of class 3, all the samples have been, very accurately classified. So this is just one snapshot that what machine learning is, how we can use, but it can be extended. Suppose if you are working with, you want to work with the textual data, then what you can do, you can take the data, you can do some sort of pre-processing, and then you can do certain sort of classification and some sort of is stuff for that. You can work with the classification of the images, the segmentation of the images. There are different libraries that can help you in that particular pursuit. So I think I should stop here. And if you have any questions or queries, then I'll be happy to answer those. I'll try to answer and address your queries. Yeah, if you have any specific queries, then please ask, whosoever is awake. Yeah, or we should.
No queries.
Everyone is awake only, not sleeping.
So
We are awake,
I
sir.
think it was a kind of marathon. I don't know how much justice I did with this session.
So there is a query
Yeah.
in chat box.
Okay. Okay, how to deploy our Python program with Windows or other operating system. So here we are talking about deployment on the server or on the local machine. I think we're talking about the deployment on the server. Okay, so as far as the deployment on the server is considered, so what basically Python, I think there is some noise coming in the background. Okay, so yeah, so what you can do use basically what this Python applications are, the Python applications can be embedded with some of the apps. Like you can use TensorFlow Lite, and you can convert your model, deep learning model, and you can reuse that particular model in your mobile app. And if you are going to develop and deploy one web application, so there are various frameworks that you can use. Like the easiest one is the Flask. So there is a Flask framework. It comes with requests package, so you can seamlessly integrate it with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all that stuff. And the some part of the Python code will be rendered just like a request. uh, there will be some URL, and it will be doing some sort of mapping with corresponding Python functions. So the deployment can be done just like any other web application. You can use GoDaddy, you can use other services available if you want to deploy it in that way. And you need to follow certain directory structure and certain coding pattern as per the syntax of the framework that you are using. So there are two popular frameworks. You can use Django, you can use Flask, and you can use their documentation. You can get started with how to print hello world on a given port using Python. So if you do that, it will make your understanding clear, and it does not need anything special or any special hardware or something like that. So where you can deploy your other web applications, the Python web applications can also work there, because most of the web servers come up with that functionality to render the pages off, because the GUI would be in either Bootstrap or some HTML5 or CSS, and some of the logic would be working in Python, so that can be redirected with the help of framework. Okay, why the database is not being used here to store the data? So we have kept this thing as minimal as possible, because when we are talking about database, so you can connect with any database, and there are various some modules like if you want to connect it with MySQL database, then you just need to have MySQL connector, just like we do connectivity with Java. So we have MySQL connector J, one jar file. In the same way, we have MySQL connectors for Python as well. And what is the objective here? That to understand the concept. So by adding a couple of lines based on the data set that you are using, so you can work with simple data set like SQLite. You can work with some data sets like MySQL, and you can even work with MongoDB. So the combination of Python with MongoDB, which is NoSQL database, can store some of the unstructured data. So you can have just the linking with that. But ultimately, when you are fetching the data, then you need to perform these steps. You need to either do some sort of data cleaning, some sort of visualization, some sort of machine learning, some sort of deep learning, some sort of porting of the model. So yeah, you can extend it further, but that is not very much difficult to do that. And there are connectors available for almost all the types of data sets, and that is very much similar to the connectivity that we do with Java. Like if you want to connect with SQLite, so we need to have the jar file corresponding to that. If you want to connect with MySQL, then we need to have MySQL connector J. For Oracle connectivity, we need to have that. In the same way, you can connect with the different types of data sets. And even if you want to create your own data set, because when you are using some sort of data analytics, then the 70% emphasis or the 70% value that is given is to the data, and then 30% is your model and your logic. So if you have your own data, then I think you are the richest person. You can sell it, because the data is the new oil that is keeping the businesses running. So everybody is after the data, If you're using credit cards, so they want to get to know that what is your CIBIL score, whether you want some sort of loan, whether you want some sort of investment plan. So based on those statistics, the AI decisions are provided to you. And there is just one more 2 minutes input that I would like to give here, because most of you may be interested in seeing some of the practical examples, because the paths that probably I have followed is more related to of a developer. But if you want to utilize some of the services of AI, like if you want to create something, you want to create a website and that should contain some of the AI functionality, then that you can easily do. And Amazon Cloud, Amazon AWS is the best place where you can go and explore about 200 services related to AI and all sort of analytics. So what you can do, like for data storage, for doing various sort of stuff, just try to explore this particular platform, that how AWS is providing you some of the AI services. So suppose someone is interested in doing speech recognition, some text analytics, some sort of image recognition. So there are built-in services available that you can utilize. Even you can embed those services behind your web applications. Suppose you want an application like that someone is uploading a video, and the video is having the voice in English, but you want another video as the output, and that will be having the French voice, but it will be having the same way of the presentation, where you are taking pause, it should take pause, and it should be synced with your with the content that you are speaking. That then these types of services are available with Amazon Cloud. You go, you explore it, there are various tools available, you can demonstrate them for your students, and they'll be happy to see something, that what are the different use cases that AI is doing. And if you want to implement one or two out of that you can explore that particular field. But I don't think that it is required at the school level, because at university level we are supposed to do some sort of research and some sort of innovative ideas and creation. But at the school level you can demonstrate the things like that. So I won't extend it much. I can see that tomorrow there is also sessions planned. So thank you, that's it from my side.
You're only watching me, sir. The participants are really interested much.
No. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity.
If there are no further queries, let us give a good applause for Dr. Chandramani Sharma sir for his patience and in-depth coverage of the packages available in Python, so that it will be useful for every faculty, every teacher in day-to-day life. Rather than simply relying on Excel, you can develop your own plots using Python Matplotlib.
Yeah, and if you have any further query, or if you want to connect with me, then I'm sharing my personal email ID. You can write to me on this. If you want to connect on anything related to this AI and analytics. Thank you so much.
And if you can share your the notebook, then it will be helpful for the participants.
Yeah, I think I shared the link
Okay.
in the chat.
Yeah.
I'll be also forwarding it to you, sir.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah. So on behalf of the participants and on my own behalf and on the behalf of the university, I really thank you, sir, for your patience coverage of the topics. Not only the topics allotted to you, but your passion for teaching, to teach more and more. That really is a driving force for every teacher. So thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
So with this, we close for the day, and tomorrow we start again by 10 o'clock, and I request all the participants to join the meeting by 9:30.
Okay, sir.
Thank you,
Sure,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Till then, take care and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.